Welcome back to the Bible in a Year. We're in Genesis 16, 17, and 18. In Genesis 16, this is just a brief overview. We have Sarai and her Egyptian servant Hagar. At this point, it's been a while since God made the promise that Abram would have a son, would be the father of many nations. And it's not Abram that lacks faith here, but Sarai, and she gives her handmaiden Hagar to Abram, and he conceives a son with Hagar. But Sarai gets jealous and sends Hagar away. So she's actually in dire straits, Hagar and her newborn. She's not doing well, probably close to death here, but God intervenes. And in 7 through 16, an angel of the Lord, or the angel of the Lord, found her by a spring of water in the wilderness. The spring was on the way to Shur. And so this is the first instance of the angel of the Lord showing up. Um, and the angel of the Lord is typically a special angel that represents God in some distinct ways throughout Old Testament. And God names the son Ishmael and is going to bless him. And then Hagar actually gives a name to God. She calls him the God who sees me. And this is the only instance of someone naming God. So here we have a promise given to Ishmael that he's going to be a great nation as well. But there's some conflict that's going to arise. Then we have in 17, the covenant of circumcision is given to Abraham. So the promise to Abraham is re-emphasized here, and circumcision is going to be the sign of that promise. It's been 13 years since chapter 16. Still, there's no son. In this chapter, his name is changed to Abraham, and he has the promise of the birth of Isaac. Abraham is a name of covenant promise in that it means father of a multitude or exalted father. And Sarai is her name is changed to Sarah, which means princess. And so the covenant, the Abrahamic covenant, is reestablished and sort of expounded upon here in 17. When we get to 18, this is a very interesting chapter. The Lord appeared to him, Abraham, at the oaks of Mamre, and he sat at the door of the tent in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there were three men who were standing in front of him. When he saw them, he ran from the front door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth and said, "O Lord," recognizing who they are, "if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought out." And so this is they appear to be men. It's two angels and the Lord. Uh, we know that it's the Lord because it uses the capital Lord here, which would have been YHWH. And to be clear, Yahweh has appeared to Abram before in chapters 12 and 17, but here he appears in human form for the first time. The three visitors are clearly human beings, but there's something supernatural about them as well. And this first visit is important because the men come to announce the birth of the first child of promise, Isaac. And then later in the New Testament, of course, we get the promise of the child of promise, Jesus. And there it's not angels appearing in human form, but angels appearing to sing the arrival of the Messiah. Uh, the men set out from there and they look down at Sodom. So they're going to head to Sodom and judge it. And Abram speaks out. He knows his nephew's there and he asks if you find anyone righteous in there, if you'll spare the town. And so we have the Lord with Abraham, God with Abraham, and then the other angels go to Sodom to go find Lot and cast judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah. That kind of wraps up our very short just overview of these chapters. Hope it was beneficial to you. And the next reading will be 19 through 21.